And we live. We is live, honey.
We live.
Let me
Why it
get a
ain't
friend.
showing up on my let me see. Oh, you know what, Miss Vicky, you probably got to share it on your community page because you know they be them notifications be acting up. Oh, there you go.
It
I
just
see
came
it.
through.
Oh yeah, I
Yep.
just got the notification too. Let me share it on my page.
Let's see. Okay. Here we go. Okay, we got the Marshall.
Let
Hmm.
that thing play, baby. Let that commercial play.
Yes, indeed. I let it roll on that. Um.
14 wonderful peoples up in the chat room. Can you please do me the honor of ringing my doorbell before you come sit up in the den? Now, we not going to hold y'all too long today, but this is a live y'all been waiting for. And if I'm going to come through after the day I had, I'm going to need y'all to ring my doorbell. Can y'all ring my doorbell?
Oh, I already did.
And welcome to the room. Just read my book in China, dog. How y'all doing? Oh, let me cut me down because I hear myself. Hmm. Now, YouTube don't usually be telling me no lie, but I don't know what the hell YouTube doing right now. Hold on, I can't find my live again, girl. Hold on. Girl, I lost my damn live. I got 26 people staring at me. 23 likes. That ain't the problem. Oh, there it is. All right. Welcome to the room. Just read my book. China Doll, Gemini Love, Empress Blue Lotus, Flower, Miss Anna, Sherry, Danny has goals, Diamond Ring Dory. Welcome, ladies. Welcome to the room. How have you people been today? How have you been?
I'm good. I'm good. How you guys doing today?
Simone, is that you?
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
everybody.
my new phone.
Well, girl, you better say something because you like the guy blocked.
I just said it.
I was fixing to block that. I thought that was somebody playing on your dome,
No,
girl.
girl. Every time
I
I hear
thought they
something,
was playing on your dome. I had you see it, so I was gonna get their ass up out of here.
no,
Girl,
this
I
new
was about,
phone, girl,
girl,
it's
don't say nothing
smaller.
in the chat to me and think and when you right here, you gotta text. Send me a SOS or something.
I'm sorry.
I
I'm
almost blocked you, girl. I would have been so upset.
I'm like you tired.
Wake the hell up.
Today I was out there driving and it got a little bit warm, so they had all the car clubs, the Charger Club, the
Girl,
Challenger Club, the
look
300
here.
Club.
We ain't gonna talk about how close to hell it was today. I hope you all have had a good Saturday and everything. I'm gonna jump into what we here for because I done had a trying day, and to be honest with y'all, I really just want to go to bed. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, bitches rushing through the commentary because I want to go to bed. Now, y'all see what the title is about. You know we finna talk about women. We're gonna talk about all aspects of women, okay? On the panel today with me is Miss Really BTV. We got on the ones and twos, Lady Detroit, also known as Simone. We have Miss Jessica B on the panel and Miss Lady Proverb over here on the panel with us today. And today we're gonna dig deep and we're gonna dispel some of the rumors and possibly educate some of the younger ones that are to come. And maybe some of you older chicks might not know a thing or two, but we just gonna in this 1 hour and possibly 30 minutes, I just want us to embrace woman. Can we do that? Amen.
Amen.
Hey, ma'am.
All right, amen. Now, I want to start the panel off by saying one of the rumors I would like to dispel for folks is that people think oftentimes, welcome to the room, everybody. Please remember to ring the doorbell before entering the den. That's all we ask you to do. Now, one of the rumors I know for certain that we seem to be going through women of a particular age who are not married. Now, a lot of people like to say women of a particular age who are not married, we are unmarriable. We're not legitimized. Nobody ever saw enough in us to legitimize us, or we can't keep a man. Well, as a proud 47-year-old woman who have been there and done that, that's not necessarily true. Sometimes when you catch a woman of a particular age who is still being called Miss and not Mrs., that's because she fucking don't want to be dealing with it no more. Okay? Some women don't aspire for the big wedding, them churn, that house with that picket fence. Some women had that and found out when they got in there that wasn't what they wanted to do. So they opted out. They remained a mother, but that wifey thing, that wasn't their goal. Now, I can speak for myself. I am settled in my ways. I've had the house, I've had the husband, had the picket fence and all that, cheering. But I found out that that wasn't the life that I wanted for myself. I know that that is the traditional family unit, but that wasn't what I wanted for myself. I have always been a free spirit, meaning I want to be able to do as I want to do, go where I want to go, think how I want to think. And if I want to be a lady Monday through Saturday, I could do that in a Christian on Sunday.
Okay.
I don't feel like I need to have a man attached to me to feel like I'm somebody. Now, that ain't to disrespect none of the married women, because I've been there. But a lot of times down here, and the women I have encountered, they tend to feel like having a husband somehow solidifies them. It makes them somebody. Well, I've never been under that belief system. I am happily single. I'm at that age in my life now where I feel like I know what it is that I want. I know how I want it. And I know what I will and will not accept in my life, you see. So because I know myself and I think very much like a man a lot of times, I'm cool with just having a friend. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to have a husband or a boyfriend laying with me back there in that bed. Matter of fact, I don't want nobody laying back there in that bed with me. I want to be back there by myself.
Hmm.
But don't
Okay.
get that twisted. I can pick up the phone. Pre-corona, I could pick up the phone and it would be no problem. You see what I'm saying? But I'm settled in my ways and I'm not willing to share my life in that capacity with a person. I don't have that fear of growing old alone. I don't feel like I have to have a man with me to feel secure. I'm secure in who I am. And although I do date a lot, like a permanent, steady, like a deep relationship that could lead to marriage. Now we can get deep, we can fall in love and everything, as long as he understands that we don't need to be trying to invade each other's space. Meaning, don't leave no toothbrush. Please don't leave no boxes and a pair of socks. That'll put me in a panic. Take all your shit with you if you afforded the opportunity to stay over here in the palace with me. When you get ready to leave, everything you came with, you must go with, or
Wait, so Miss Nyca, yo,
it's of the sanitation department of the city to which I live in. So that is my input on one of the rumors that women
yo,
experience. I will give all the ladies the opportunity to expound upon that if they so inclined.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
want to chime in on that one for sure. I will be happily
Nika,
40
wait a minute. I'm
in.
sorry, Jessica. Nika, Mr. Shooty said you were echoing.
Who?
He said when you were talking, you were
We're
echoing.
echoing.
Yeah,
He said there's feedback.
it's feedback. Do
I
you
don't
do you
hear
have
it.
your windows open?
I
Because
don't
I
have
want
the
them to hear you,
window
Jessica.
open.
You can't hear when it's echoing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it better now?
I'm gonna see what the chat say because
Yeah, because I don't hear an echo.
I don't hear echo either. Y'all hit the one if it's okay. Somebody in the chat, please.
So y'all ain't gonna say nothing?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to see if they can hear, but what I was gonna say is I will be 40 in July, and I have never been married, never had any children, but I do have one now. We'll tap into that later. And I had to find myself. Like I used to be very shy and submissive because I thought that that's what I was supposed to be. But then life grew me the fuck up, and I just became not really a hardened woman, but I was kind of like Miss Nyca, like I wouldn't take no shit. I have not been in a relationship since 2016, and I am very content with that. I had even gotten to the point where I said, if you ain't got no red, white, and blue Medicare card with some Social Security and a 401k plan, as long as you ain't blind, crippled, or crazy, then maybe I'll give you a chance. But I said, well, we'll see what goes on with that. But I just ain't for no bullshit. And I could have been married. Now I done been engaged before, but he wasn't the one for me. And I just feel like in today's times, and no offense to any married women, but there are like the statistics say 9 black women to one man. And I grew up in Atlanta. It's like 30 black women to one man. And you better believe he dating every last 30, all 30 of them too. So with me, I don't mind being single. I do feel like everything that I have accomplished on my own, he would have to bring something more than what I've already gotten to the table. I got me a good job. I got my own house that I bought by my damn self. So whatever he's bringing to the table, he gonna have to either add to it to help me come up, or that's it. Like that's a done daughter. But I don't mind being single. Like I said, I've been single since 2016. But then I adopted my daughter. She's now 5. I adopted her when she just turned 2. And from that point on, it was just strictly parent mode. So what I like to tell people now, even like my little cousins and some of my friends, I tell them, because a lot of my friends, they've been married right out of high school or right when they was in their 20s. And I let them know one thing I can say that I'm very appreciative of is the fact that I lived. When I tell you I lived, I lived. Like in my 20s, I lived. There is not one thing that I have not done. So now I'm at an age where I'm more content, I'm more chill, I'm more relaxed. And if I am gonna date a man, he gonna have to be an older man who don't want no kids and who don't want to do shit but just talk, have a good time, some companionship, go out every now and then. I don't need anything else. So that's the way that I'm coming. Like I said, I got other stuff I want to talk about outside of that when it comes to my child, but when it comes to needing a man to validate, I never have been that type of woman. Now, there's a time and place to be submissive. True that, but a woman has to also be able to stand up for herself. You can't be no doormat. So that's me. I'm single and I ain't tripping. And I'm not ready to mingle. And I'm
Okay,
not
can I
alone.
speak?
Come on.
Can I speak on this real quick?
For
As a
sure.
married woman. So here's the
I wanted to
situation.
say you for last because you come from a different perspective.
All right, go ahead.
Simone, you go next, and then Really Be, and then Crystal.
I'm gonna speak on the perspective of someone who's been married twice. My first marriage, I got married very young. I got married at 21. I got married because, as young ladies, we are always reared to be told that you got to get married, have kids. My parents have been married now for 47 years. So that's what I always saw. And I always thought that that was the life I should live and had to live, knowing that the man that I married was not the man for me. I just had a child by him. Actually, my two older kids are by my first husband. He was not a good husband, but because I was so hell bent on trying to make it work, because this is what I was fed and told all my life, I actually subjected myself to someone who was not a good person. My second marriage, I got married again when I was in my early 30s. My husband was a decent man. His parents had been, he was raised by his grandparents. They had been married for 56 years before they died. So even that husband was geared around marriage. But I just realized my husband was a selfish person. And as I get older, I had learned how, excuse me, I'm sorry.
What happened?
She said to hold on.
Came in here
Okay.
loud. What I was saying was that I basically loved somebody who was just a very selfish person. And I think because I got married so young and was so told that I always wanted to live that fairy tale, that I wasn't happy. And so me now being at 40, I'm fine with just being by myself, period. Raising my kids by myself. Yes, I still talk to my ex-husband, and we actually get along better as friends. Me and my first husband, whenever the hell he decides to come around, we get along beautiful as friends. And me and my husband, now we're not divorced, but we're in the middle of divorcing. At times I do feel like I want to reconcile with him. And then it's times I realize I just can't stand his ass. So I'm kind of at a Winfield where I love the part of being married for the sake of everyone else is not being married. But then I realize it's a facade. And that's not me. I'm at a stage in my life. I make damn good money. I have 2 degrees. I don't need my husband.
And Simone, you actually just dispelled another stereotype about women because, like you said, your parents been married, what, 47 years?
47.
That is a blessing. These days, it's a blessing to make it past 5. And you just dispelled a whole nother stereotype because people feel like when women have that role model figure to mimic, such as their parents still being together, people automatically assume that we are going to have those types of healthy relationships. And that's just simply not true.
There, exactly. You hit it on the nail. I wanted this fairy tale to work that just wasn't there. I was trying to make my husbands be something that they weren't. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's no man in this world that will ever treat me like my daddy. And my problem is every man I date or every man I talk to, if you don't treat me like my daddy, deuces. And my daddy treat me damn good. He get on my nerves, but he treat me damn good. He's a hard act to follow. So me personally, as I've gotten older, I understand. My sister got married a couple of years ago, and I got back into that feeling of now my sister's married. I really want to do this. I want to be married again? I go through spells, so I'm gonna be honest with you. But right
Yeah.
now, I'm happy with life the way it is. Me and my kids, and they're much happier too. So I was leave it at that.
And I didn't have that model, that role model figure. I mean, boy, I didn't have it. I didn't. My parents got separated very young. Well, not very young. I was like in high school. And then they finally divorced. And it took quite a few years for me and my dad to repair our relationship. And I do feel strongly that um, a father is a woman's first introduction to dating. And I missed that. I'm not gonna lie. Like me and my dad, we best friends now, but I missed that, you know. But yeah, anyway, let me shut up and let somebody else talk because I keep going.
Go ahead, Miss Really B.
So I guess my story is pretty much very close to Miss Jessica B's, except for I don't have any children. But I'm never been married, no children. My parents have been married for 55 years, and
Ooh,
so I guess I'm very similar in the sense that I've been proposed to. It's not that yeah, it wasn't that men didn't want to marry me. I had opportunities, but I knew, it just didn't work. It wasn't
right,
wasn't meant to be. And so, but I think the misconception though is that something's missing, and it just isn't. I mean,
right.
there are times when I do desire to have somebody to, oh, I want to go out to eat. Maybe I don't want to call my girls. I want to, or I want to travel
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. But it's not at a point where I feel like I'm missing something. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Mhm.
would be at this point it would be an enhancement, not a necessity. I guess is the best way of putting it. Yeah, it would be an enhancement, but it's not a necessity. And like Lady Nyca said, I ain't missing male companionship. So I don't know. I think it's just a big misconception that, and again, there's nothing wrong. I have friends who are married and they're happily married. So it's. But I think I get tired of hearing people. What pisses me off is when people say things, insensitive things in reference to that.
Well, can
Yeah.
I ask you something really big because you and I know this? Do you feel that people kind of pressured you into being married because your parents have been married so long, or you should have used them as an example? I feel like people always put that on me. You
No,
know,
I never felt pressured to be married. I felt pressured to have children, which is
did
weird.
you? Okay.
My mother
Okay.
used to always talk about me having grandkids, but the understanding from at least from my parents' perspective was that I would get married first, have children later. And then the older I got, my mother was kind of like, okay, forget about the husband. I just want some grandkids. So I felt
Hmm.
more pressure to have children than to be married.
I felt more pressure to be married than to have children, only because my dad is a pastor, and
Oh, wow.
I know. That's why I said it gets real sticky. But and he is my pastor. He is still the pastor. You know, so
Hmm.
I used. It's always them old Negro spirituals and the mothers of the church. Baby, when you gonna get married? When you gonna have some children? You know,
Yeah.
and they don't mean no harm. So I'm with you on that. Really, be. I mean, they don't mean any harm when they're old. You know, you try to give them a pass, but people who are of carnal knowledge, sometimes you just want to cuss them out because they like the umpteenth person who done asked you that. You know.
Right. Right. Yep.
And now we can hear the marriage perspective.
Okay, so let me start out by saying that this is my second marriage. And one of the important things that everybody needs to know is first and foremost, marriage ain't for everybody.
Right.
And
Hmm.
marrying
Facts.
the wrong person is just as bad as just not being somebody that's made up for marriage anyway.
Facts.
The thing that I came up with, and this is all about knowing you, because if you get married but you don't know who you are before you do so, it's just like every other relationship where you'll lose yourself in it.
Hmm.
I've,
Hmm.
I've never been that chick. I've always known me. And my first thing that I have always gone into relationships with is basically this: if you cheat on me, we broke up.
Okay.
I don't need to
Okay.
come to you and sit down and have a conversation with you about
Okay.
what happened when you cheated. We don't have to talk because you cheated. So my first husband cheated. And what did I do?
Mine's
I
too,
went and filed
Crystal.
for divorce. I don't have to hold a conversation with you. Yes, he was a pastor. That didn't make no never mind. We not together because you went and slept with her.
Mm-hmm.
When I got married, then I was literally single for, well, not married before I married again. And I went into the door the exact same way. If you cheat on me, we divorce. Now, here's another important point. I don't believe that being in a relationship validates you. That's ignorant to me. You need to be a whole person before you get with somebody else whole, because two halves don't make a whole. It makes two halves with a long crack in the middle.
Hmm.
So whenever it comes down to it, me and my husband, we don't argue. We have conversations. My son gets really, really confused whenever he thinks that it should be something that we should be barking and hollering about, because we don't do that. Grown people have conversations. And if you can't have conversations about those things whenever you dating, and if y'all fussing and arguing and bickering and throwing stuff when you dating, you best go ahead and do that U-turn and walk on out the door, because that's not
Mm-hmm.
for you. Now,
Mm-hmm.
there is some people who got to have somebody to argue with. I'm not her. And that's one of them things about being equally yoked. Listen, if you can't
Okay.
go in the same direction at the same time, wanting to do the same thing, then you're not equally yoked. I don't care if you Baptist, Methodist, Church of God in Christ, hit my toe, missionary, whatever.
Okay.
If you can't, if you're not mentally going in the same direction at the same time, then that's what makes you unequally yoked. I need some of these people who be trying to teach the Bible to actually learn the scripture so they can do it right.
Mm.
So here's what it boiled down to be. Make sure that if you choose to get married, number one, that you know yourself so that you don't lose yourself in the relationship. And number
Mm-hmm.
two, make sure that what you refuse to put up with, that you put that stuff on the table at the beginning, because people don't need to be caught off guard whenever you have not said, if you cheat, I'm gonna leave you, or we gonna work it out. Whatever you allow is what people are gonna continue to do to you.
That's
That's
right.
relationship, friendship, and everything else
Marriage is a contract.
all
But
day long.
And I'm a,
I wanted to ask too, listening to what was, I think, Simone and Crystal, what did, because y'all have had spouses that cheat, why do y'all think Black women are labeled as angry? I have my own answer, but we're labeled as angry at work, at the store, in our relationships, amongst our children. We are the most, to me, we are just the most abused people all the way around. We get it from men, we get it from white women who wants to mirror our images, yet they
mm-hmm.
yell, as soon as you raise your voice at work or something, then they target you as being an angry Black woman. What do you think us being mistreated by our men has caused us to be this way? What makes y'all think we are labeled that?
Okay,
Simone, you want to go first or you want me to go?
I'll go ahead. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna give a little background. When even though you guys see me on live, I'm silly and I have a personality. When I was a teenager, I was really extremely shy. If I did have boyfriends, but they were boyfriends, they were guys I grew up with. I had to have known them for years. Couldn't nobody new just come in and be my boyfriend. So when I turned 18, I don't know what happened to me, but I got this bolo shitload of confidence. And I found who I was. So when I turned 18, I met my first husband. And he was a lot older than me. I was 18, he was 25 when I got with him. And he would play on my insecurities. He would play on the fact that I was young. He would he would know these things and how he could play me. And by me being so young and insecure, I didn't know any better. And then I would try to go talk to my mom, who was married. And she didn't always offer the best advice because she could only give me advice from a married woman's perspective. And so I didn't become angry or bitter, but I became to the point where I just settled for everything that he did for a minute. And then I don't know what happened to me. At 22, I became what I say a beast. And at 22, I was in his face. I was doing everything he did back to him. Oh, you want to go cheat? Okay, well, I'm gonna go talk to this man. And I would throw it in his face. I would do all types of stuff. And I was labeled angry then. I was labeled conniving, typical Black woman. He would say all those things to me, even though he did all types of stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
I think what makes people angry is because we tolerate so much for so long, and we've been trained to forgive, forgive, forgive. Just like, I'm just gonna use an example. We can look at TV. Let's look at that fool that the Amber Geiger case. That man killed that lady's son, and they sit up there and the brother. We forgive you. We forgive you. We're so programmed to forgive everything instead of expressing how we feel, that when we do break a chord and we express how we feel, now we're labeled as angry. Not that that's how we are, and we have our own minds, and we have the decision. We make our own decisions, but we're labeled angry because we're not playing with the course. Everybody wants to throw religion in and the Bible and this, that, and other. See, I believe in the Most High, but I'm not a super religious person. I'm not a Bible thumper. The Bible is the #1 selling book in the world, written by man. So to me, I have different viewpoints, and I hate when they say we're angry. Sometimes we have had issues with from when we were kids, how our fathers did us, to how we were done teenagers. So I think at the end of the Black women find their inner strength, and Black women just get tired of stuff, and then that's when we're labeled as angry. I'm not angry right now after everything. That's the first thing my husband always tells me now. If I don't do something that he doesn't like, you just a bitter ass woman. You just a bitter bitch. I'm bitter because I'm not doing what he wants me to do or dancing to his drum, beat to his drum. So I think because now Black women, we are the largest population with degrees and being self-sufficient and wage earners, we just have realized we don't need a man.
Yeah.
We're doing it ourselves. So if that makes us angry, I will be labeled angry all day long.
I have a perspective. Jessica, that's really a complicated question, but
It
I
is.
think but I think and I was sitting here thinking while you were talking about it, and I look at it more from a historical perspective. That's how my mind works. I'm a historian, so that's how my mind works. And I think that, and this is gonna, I don't want nobody to get offended. These are my opinions, not Lady Nyca. So before I even say that, let me preface. I think that when we start talking about the idea, the stereotype of the angry Black woman, because that's what it is, it's a stereotype. But when you look historically, women were raised to be docile. Women were raised to be subservient. Women were raised to be almost like children, to be seen and not heard. But historically, and I know this is a general statement I'm getting ready to make, Black women did not have that luxury. We didn't have the luxury of staying home and being the homemaker. Even if we were staying at home, we were washing clothes on the side. We were cleaning houses on the weekend. We were carrying our kids with us. We didn't have the luxury. And so what being aggressive translated into being angry. And so when you look at it historically and you say, oh, just the angry Black woman, no, sometimes we just didn't have that luxury of being the docile, stay at home, take care, have dinner on the table situation. And I know I'm speaking in very general terms, so I know everybody's situation is different, and but historically I just think, and so I think it evolved. The idea of the angry Black woman evolved from the fact that we had to be aggressive, we had to go to work, we had to fight to make a living because our Black men weren't bringing home the same as that white man was bringing home. So we didn't have the luxury. And so over time, it has evolved. And I think when you look at TV played into, or media played into, the stereotype of the angry Black woman. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think that it's a moniker that stuck. But I think a lot of times we could take away the word angry and we could substitute aggressive or substitute proud. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me looking at it from a very broad perspective. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay, so my angle on this is, I believe that the term angry Black woman is literally coming from the fact that a lot of times when we actually get angry, we actually tend to get loud to ensure that we're getting heard. Because a lot of times we get looked over when we try to whisper and tell our men or give them advice, even in marriages. When you try to give them advice on the sidelines, they don't listen. So then when it comes back to bite you, then you have to get loud in order to be heard. So they're actually taking this loud for angry. It's not that you're angry, it's that you've now got to talk loud in order to be heard. So I'm gonna be honest with you. The reason that I don't argue is because in my first marriage, I had to. And I got to the point where I no longer argue. And whenever I want to be heard, instead of getting loud, I whisper. Because in order for you to hear me, you got to shut the hell up. You can't hear me if you talking loud and I'm talking loud. And if we both talking loud, then you're not going to pay attention to what I'm saying. I'm an
That's
educator. So even in my classroom, when I have a whole lot of high school students talking and nobody wants to hear me, then I start whispering about the test that they're going to have tomorrow. And when I start whispering, it causes everybody to get quiet because they want to be able to hear what's important. When you're screaming, 9 times out of 10, you're not saying stuff that's important. You're just talking loud so you can be heard. So if Black women figured out, okay, I'm getting feedback.
I hear
So
you. It's not me. Does anybody have a device on an open window or something? Because you have to cut the volume down all the way.
no, I don't have one open. But is it me? So let me mute.
So what I came to do was to whisper, especially whenever it's something that I feel that's important or something that I feel like deserves to be heard. Then I stop talking loud and instead I talk quietly. Because again,
Mhm.
in order for, listen, 9 times out of 10, when you're in college and your lecturer is talking, they're not screaming, but everybody else who wants to hear the information is being quiet. So you have to put yourself in a place where you're saying something of value. And when you're saying something truly of value, you ain't got to scream. And if we stop screaming, they'll stop calling us angry.
Mm, that's interesting because in my classroom, I just shut up. You get quiet and I be quiet and I just shut up. I'll sit down at my desk and I will shut up. And they'll be like, oh my God, y'all, look, she mad. And I'm like, I ain't mad, but I'm not going to keep talking to you not listening. So that's valid. That's deep.
So I start talking about the test and start giving instructions and maybe some important facts on how I can help them pass this test. But if I'm whispering it and 9 or 10 people are still talking, they finally turn on each other and say, can y'all shut up so we can hear?
Yep.
Eventually, they'll realize that what you're saying is of importance and they'll make the room be quiet just so that your voice can be heard. If you get to a place where you are on a job and you are saying something of value, so eventually the CEO will realize that your whisper means something and they'll make everybody else in the room shut up so you can be heard.
Well, I ain't gonna lie. I don't want to hear what Miss Nyca got to say. I have been angry. I'm not gonna lie, and I had to do a self eval. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to check myself, but I have been angry because there was a time in my life where I was a woman scorned, if you will. You know, where I had been through. I'm hearing feed. Okay, I had been through some really rough relationships, and because of that, it scarred me. And I had some inner demons. And then if a good man did come along, it's very possible my mouth ran them off. So I have been angry. Even on my job, I've been angry because it just turned into aggression. So I like how y'all dissected, anger from aggression. But now I'm at a different place to where I have more control. I know how to not be all timid and meek and quiet. And I know how not to be a pushover. I see it at my job all the time with the white women with the blonde hair with the size 2 waist come in, and they are the biggest hell raisers there are. But as soon as you get irritated or just say something that they don't like, then they go run to the white supervisor, and then you're the one that looks like the bad guy. So that's why I said we get it from all ends. But I did want to hear what you had to say too, Ms. Nyca, about why you think we get that label.
Well, we got, in my opinion, and for me, I got labeled the angry Black woman because I was, but it was a story to it. And it did take me a while to understand. For so many years, dating all the way back to my childhood, I was always told to be quiet, don't say nothing. Coming from a home where there was some molestation and sexual abuse, be quiet, don't say nothing. Getting into a marriage where I really was ill equipped to really be in it, be quiet, don't say nothing, just play your role. Um, Divorcing, don't say nothing. Let's just, try to keep, even though you're not going to be able to keep this family unit together, still be quiet. Don't ever say anything. bad about him. Then out here in the workforce, be quiet, don't say nothing, never speak about how you feel, always hold in. For me, for half of my life, I felt like I was dimming myself down. And what it was doing was pissing me off to where when I finally did start talking, I couldn't stop talking. And now that's why I'm so quick. I'm quick to jump back real quick. Now I will tell you this. I've learned to learn how to listen before speaking. But the reason why I was so quick to say something was because when I first found my voice, I couldn't shut up. And I still ain't been able to shut up now. Anytime I feel like it's something I need to say, if I can't say it, then I'm going to get loud. I'm going to get boisterous because in the book of my mind, I'm thinking somebody trying to, once again, silence me. Even if it's for, sometimes it's been for my own good, I needed to shut up. I still was running my mouth. And that came from growing up not being able to say nothing. I couldn't say I needed help as a little girl from my grandmother because my mama's boyfriend is sneaking in this room every night. I couldn't tell the next door neighbor or nobody what was going on inside my household that was bothering me because what goes on inside that house stayed in that house. That was the ritual that I grew up under. So when I got a little older and I realized that something had to change, I just started. First thing I learned in therapy was it's okay to say how you feel. If something in that house was hurting you, it's okay to tell somebody they could do something about it. It was never okay for my ex to beat on me. It was never okay for my sisters and brothers to, even though they didn't mean to make me feel like I was the lesser of the siblings because I'm the darker of hue in hue. You know what I'm saying? So I think it has a lot to do with what we go through, our individual experiences, and coupled with what really being Crystal said, our history. We didn't always have a voice. And you gotta think it's some truth in what Malcolm X said. The black woman is the most disregarded and disrespected woman.
Woo,
Look how
preach,
they treat
child.
us. Look how they treat us today. Look how we get treated. We they tell us we that we're not the American standard of beauty. Yet everybody go out to Dr. Miami, Dr. Kerr, and everything else, go over there and get some of the little bleaching creams. Everybody want to somehow, they want to bleach their skin, but they want the big lips. They want everything that we have naturally. But yet they tell us we're not the standard of beauty. Women are always made to feel like we are less than. And when you go out here in this real world, because it's a world outside of this little bayou, and you start seeing how the real world moves, it changed your perspective. Then they say you're a big mouth black woman. You ain't angry no more. You just can't shut your mouth. Well, no, I can't shut my mouth. No, I'm not angry anymore. I have dealt with that. I've dug up all of that what was making me angry. I've learned to be okay with that. But now you say I'm a big mouth black woman, and I'm not a big mouth black woman. I'm a black woman with a voice, and I will be heard. Now you can listen one way or the other. Either way, I'm gonna be heard. I guess that's the best way I can say it for me. That's how it is for me. I just honestly, when I found my voice and I realized I could talk, baby, I ain't been able to shut up ever since then. I've been talking and talking and talking. I talk so damn much sometimes I be talking in my sleep. I just be talking, honey, because I remember a time where I could not say nothing. And I didn't come back from slavery days when they guard, we had guard over our mouths like that. No, I grew up in a household where I was not allowed to have a voice. So, baby, when these lips went to moving, baby, I ain't stopped moving these lips yet. So that's the. I mean, I think it's for each woman. It's a different experience. It's based on what you've gone through in your life. But overall, we are very loud in people's eyes because I feel like we have never been allowed to say nothing. And We've always been told that we are the second class, or be quiet, or don't say nothing. We didn't have a right to have a voice once upon a time. Hell, we was all considered three-fifths of a person at one time. You know what I'm saying? But now, in this new world we supposedly live in, honey, you can't get me to shut up for now. I got something to say, I'm saying. Long as it makes sense. Now, I ain't going to talk out of turn. Because I don't, I tell y'all also, a woman's strength lie in her silence sometime, okay? That's Lady Mae Greenleaf, season 1, episode 4. Check that out, okay? There's some power in that too. But when you got something to say, I think it's wrong for a person to ever tell you to be quiet. And we as Black women have been told that so much in our lifetime we've been taught and conditioned to just deal with it. Just don't say nothing. So when you break free from that, people can't understand. It's not anger, it's passion. And there's a big difference between being just angry and just being very passionate. I once was an angry bird. Now I'm a passionate Black woman, and I will be heard. That's my perspective on that. I don't want to keep digging on that because we're 45 minutes in and we got one big topic I do want to talk about. So I don't want to just switch the gears on you guys. Is anybody on the panel want to say something else? Because I do want to move this along.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm ready to move on. We can move on, Miss Nyca.
Why don't you have no cheering, girl? When you gonna give us some kids? Girl, I heard that bitch can't have no children. I heard her eggs was oil, girl. Girl, that bitch can't get no.
Hold on, I'm gonna have to come on camera for this one.
Okay, because them some trigger words for me, Miss Nyca. You about to get something started, because baby,
you finna make me wig up and make up down. Let's go ahead and get it,
girl. She ain't got no living children, but I heard through the grapevine that girl, she done been down there to the abortion clinic and she got a whole bushel of babies. I said a whole bushel of babies back there in that machine.
We're trying to get our life together to come up on this here camera.
Listen. If I ain't had these Bantu knots, baby, look, y'all will see how.
Look, I had turned off the lights and everything. Child. Listen.
Well, me and you, and Simone was talking about us. Let me mute. Let me mute. Hold my mute. Hold on.
Listen, can I speak?
Baby, go ahead.
Let me tell you something. Let me start here because I got a lot of stuff to say. My brain go left and my brain go right. Let me say this to people, especially women of color, that we do to each other. First of all, it is probably the rudest thing you can say to somebody. Ask them about why they don't have children, when they're going to have children, that they selfish for not having children. You don't know somebody's story. You don't know somebody's story. It's not your business and it's not your place. You don't judge a woman. First of all, if a woman did have an abortion, again, ain't your business, and it's not your place to make a decision about her morals, to make a decision about her decision. You don't know if the doctor told her, if you have this baby, you're going to die. You don't know if the doctor told her this baby is going to die. You don't know if that baby was a result of rape. You don't know if that baby was a result of incest. Or how about the fact that I know that I cannot take care of a child? You don't know. When you see a woman who is of a certain age and doesn't have children, you don't know their story. You don't know their story. And I think it is disrespectful and I think it is rude for us to ever use someone's status as a weapon against them. You don't know. And people make it look easy on TV. They make it look so easy. A woman gets pregnant. They have a nice little announcement. They have a gender reveal. They have a baby shower. And boop, here comes the baby. And the baby is healthy. And everybody is in love. And everything is great. And it is not the reality. It is not the reality. Especially the older you get, I don't think people understand that the older a woman gets, the harder it is for her to conceive and for her to carry. And so I just think that it is, as a woman who's of a certain age that doesn't have children, that ain't never been pregnant, you'll be surprised at the things people say to me. You'll be surprised at the comments people make, and they make them to me because they think that it's okay. And I'm talking about family members. I'm talking about people who don't know me from a hole in the wall. And I'm just like, I had somebody tell me one time I was selfish because I didn't want to have children. You gonna come take care of this child when I have it? You buying diapers? You babysitting? What you got in on this for you to say that I'm selfish for not having a child? So I'm sorry, y'all. That is a trigger for me. That gets me going. That gets my blood boiling. And I'm going to shut up so the rest of the panel can come on. But I'm serious. And I don't care about, I ain't talking about YouTube stuff. I'm talking about in general. Y'all need to be very careful about how you approach a woman who does not have children and you don't know her story. Because you don't know why I don't have children. You know what I tell you, but you don't know why I don't have children. And I'm done.
Okay, can I say something? Cause girl, look, that was a trigger for me too. Listen, I never been pregnant. I never had children. There was a guy that I was dating for a number of years where we actually tried and were not successful. I had found out later on, and this is something else that for some reason, and I noticed this from the Housewives of Atlanta and everything, for some reason, when women have different reproductive issues that they are not comfortable with disclosing, they are very hush about it. For example, fibroids, endometriosis, ovarian cysts, a history of ovarian cancer,
Yep.
or all types of things that men don't understand and that some women don't get. And my thing is, I want us as Black women to get to a place where our voices should be heard. We shouldn't feel ashamed that we are suffering with reproductive issues. I have fibroids. It's hereditary, okay? And it has caused so much pain and stress on my body. But I also did not have kids. I knew that I wanted to be a mother. And so what I did was become a foster parent. But I would get the same questions that really B would get. And at the time where I think some women go through that biological clock is ticking where you get this little nudge like, I want to have children. I went through that phase. And when it didn't happen, I just said, okay, you know what? I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm going to live my life. I always loved children. But there was also a time in my life where I didn't want any children. When I say I lived in my 20s, I lived. And there's no way on God's green earth I would have been prepared to have a child in my 20s because I was partying too much. But yeah, I could not have a child with what was going on in my body. And I want women, like Really B said, and men to please, I beg you, please stop shaming women. Wendy Williams had Eva on her couch. I never forget this. And Wendy made a nasty comment that I wanted to jump through the TV and slap the piss out of her. She said, please don't get pregnant again. It's so boring. Please don't have any more kids. I mean, every season we're going to see you walking around pregnant. Right then and there, I was offended by that because there are so many women who want to have children, who have a desire to have children, but they can't. So when you shaming one woman for being pregnant and being in a position to take care of her children, but then you shaming another woman who can't have children, there has to be some type of fairness. But anyway, I ended up adopting my daughter. I was blessed to adopt her, but I did become a foster parent. So that is how I am a mother. But everything that Really be said, it really hits home. I'm glad Ms. Nyca brought that up because I heard it for so many years. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's very hurtful. If you can't read somebody without going to their illnesses or sicknesses or things that they cannot control, things that are of the nature, then I just find it, then you actually asking to get cussed the fuck out. Okay, now I'm done. Let me go to mute.
Okay,
Well, I'm
so
gonna say
go ahead,
what,
Simone.
what I'm gonna say is I understand your perspective as well as I understand the perspective as a woman who had kids who weren't married. I got pregnant young. I got pregnant the first time I got pregnant, I was 17 years old. I'm getting ready to graduate high school. I suffered a miscarriage. So when I suffered the miscarriage, people belittled me and told me, how can you at 17, you're still young and you're having babies? That was God's way of punishing you because you shouldn't have been pregnant anyway. Well, I turned around at 19 and got pregnant again with my son, my very first pregnancy. When I had my son at 32 weeks, and I found out I have very hard pregnancies due to a history of fibroids, and I was stage 1 cervical cancer. I had stage 1 cervical cancer at 19 years old. People always wonder why my kids are so far apart in age, because I don't share these things with people. They're far apart in age because, first of all, it was very difficult for me to get pregnant, number one. Number two, I was scared to death because I wanted to make sure I was going to be around for my children. So when I had my second baby, I got pregnant at 28. This pregnancy was beautiful. I still had her early. I had her at 35 weeks, but I really didn't have any complications with her. She was just the perfect pregnancy. I was in remission of my cancer at that point. When I got pregnant with my last child at 34 and had my baby, I got tested again, and I was bleeding while I was pregnant and was told that I was at stage 3 cervical cancer. It had returned. Prior to me having my daughter, I had given birth 3 years prior to that to a set of twins. And I thought the pregnancy was going fine and beautiful. Well, at 6 months, I was rushed to the hospital for heavy bleeding. I was rushed to the hospital, and I was told then that they were going to have to deliver my babies that day, and they weren't pretty sure if they were going to be able to make it. Well, lo and behold, I gave birth. I delivered my son first. My son lived 3.5 hours. I had my daughter. They were twins, fraternal twins. And my daughter died after 5 hours. I was told because of the cervical cancer and the fibroids that was in my body, it was doing away. The fibroids was so big that I had that it was not allowing my baby's room to grow. I went ahead, had surgery, and ended up getting pregnant with my middle child then. So when I had my last baby, I was stage 3. I was on bed rest. Um, I had I had just took the severance package from my job. I was stressed out. I was going through so much. I had my baby at 31 weeks. Having my baby, I had one at 32 weeks and one at 31 weeks. Just the fact of a matter of a week makes all the difference in the world. My last baby was born with major complications. Even though she's now a healthy baby, the only thing she does have as a result of me having cancer, I passed that on to my child. I live with that every day. That hurt because I was that was not my intentions to do that. And so when people say why people don't have kids or why certain things, I was given the option. But by the time I found out, I was 5 months pregnant. Do I want to have my baby or do I want to get rid of my baby? And I decided I wanted to have my baby. This was a miracle. God, I was told I would never have another baby after my twins, and I ended up getting pregnant. So imagine the heartbreak I felt when my child was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 3. And some of it was because of the cervical cancer that I had. So as a person, people don't know what people go through when when you're you get that, because I get that all the time. Well, you had these babies, you wouldn't have, you got married after you had your babies, you should have been married first, it was out of order, God, that wasn't planned, that's why your baby has cancer. I have had all types of things said to me. And so at one point, honestly, I could tell you this: if there was one thing I could take back in this world, that would be I would have did things a little bit differently with my last child. My doctor also was partly to blame, because she was supposed to die. I was supposed to deliver my last child through cesarean. It would have helped lessen the chance of her having cancer. So when I say I understand and I'm guilty, and I apologize to Jessica, really B, I had to apologize to my sister. My sister is 40 years old, MD, and she was married 2 years ago, and she suffered 3 miscarriages in a matter of 2 years trying to get pregnant. And I was one of the people like, I'm ready to be an auntie. Come on, girl, what is you doing? You done sat here and got your degree. My sister was suffering silently. Her fibroids was so big, they were killing her babies simultaneously. It was nothing she could do. She just went and had surgery last year, and she got pregnant last September, and she miscarried then again. At that point, when she told me this was about 3 weeks ago, I was ragging on her again about having a baby, and my sister broke down, and she asked me, please stop doing this to me. She said, I've always had your back when everybody was ragging you for having babies out of wedlock. She said, I've tried to have babies, and at this point, I have made it known with God at this point that I'm fine with not being a mother at this point. That was not my mission. She said, but what I'm going to do is make sure your kids are okay. She said, but please don't do that, and don't do that to other women. And do you know, I had to rethink and reprogram myself and my train of thought, because I don't mean any harm when I say to someone. I was just saying I wanted nieces and nephews, because all my nieces and nephews are older now. They're my brother's kids. But I wanted my sister, because she has a beautiful husband, to have a baby. And she just broke down and kind of cussed. She didn't cuss me out, but she let me know that how she really feels and how bad that hurts her. So I kind of said, well, girl, go ahead and adopt a kid. There's so many kids need to be adopted. And she told me, please don't rush me and pressure me to doing that either. When I'm ready to sit down and decide to have kids, I will. I may not have them. So when I apologize to you ladies, I'm apologizing for each one of those people who did do that to you, because honestly, I was just as guilty, and I was one of those people. And I was doing it to my sister. And slowly but surely, I did not know that I was hurting my sister when I was doing that. Until she broke down and she shared it to me about 3 weeks ago. We had this conversation. And now I understand. I understand every perspective from it. And I can only say from my standpoint that if you want kids, you'll have them. If not, I support however way it goes. And I'm glad we're having this panel, because do you know, I've been feeling guilty and bad for the past couple of weeks that I made my sister cry, because that was not my intentions. I was just trying to be an auntie, pushing her along to have kids, but I did not know, and I wasn't educated enough to know, because of her fibroids and everything, this is why she wasn't getting pregnant. Right. So I just want to share that with you all. Yes, some women don't have kids because they're like me. We have actual health issues, and we don't have kids.
Mm-hmm. And I would say this, I mean, some people don't have children because they just don't want children. It's not always a health issue, but I'll speak for myself. And this isn't something I tell a lot of people, but I'll speak for myself in saying that when I was 22 years old, I was in college. I was a sophomore in college. I was 22 years old. Actually, I was a junior. Anyway, I was in my early 20s. I don't remember the exact age now. I think I was a junior. And I had to start going to specialists. Anybody who's a woman, you understand why I was going to specialist, child. I was going to a specialist. They were sending me to all these doctors. Now, mind you, I'm away from home. I don't have mama and daddy with me. I'm going to these doctor's appointments by myself. I'm interpreting what they're telling me. I've had all kinds of sonograms and all other kinds of things going on. And the doctor told me I was 22 years old. And the doctor told me, she said, I'm telling you now, when you decide to have children, you're probably going to have a hard time conceiving. So at 22 years old, I was basically told, this ain't gonna be no crystal staircase for you if and when you decide to have children. And so I say all that. So fast forward, I've never had children, so it is what it is. But I say all that to say to people, that's why when I say you don't know what people's real story is, you know what they tell you. Because when people would ask me about children, rather than getting to my business, my answer would always be, oh, I don't even want kids. I don't want children. I don't want kids. Because in my mind, I was told at 22, this might be something that ain't gonna never happen for you. So you don't, that's why I say you only know what people tell you. You don't know what people's story is. And it's not your business. Like I shouldn't have to explain to everybody I meet that I have medical issues. You should just be okay with the fact that I don't have children. And if I say to you, well, I don't think that's something that I want, that's okay. And move on with the conversation, you know? So, again, it's okay. It doesn't always have to be a deep medical issue. It could just be a decision. When men say they don't want kids, why is that not a problem? I ain't never heard nobody come at a man and say, well, you sure? Well, that's why God put us here. All the things that they tell women about having children, but it takes two to tango. Y'all don't never have a problem with a man saying he don't want kids, but I can't have kids by myself. So it's okay for him not to want kids, but I gotta have them. Child.
Okay, so let me give you guys the information about what I went through. First, let me remind everybody. Every woman who does not have children, it's not always something wrong with her.
Exactly.
I was married. My first marriage, I had, and you can count them, 7 miscarriages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You guys know that I have multiple children, but what you don't know is that my only biological children are my twins. All of my other children, except the 13-year-old, which is with my husband, the others are adopted. But these miscarriages was because there was something wrong with my ex-husband. Because you see, if there is something wrong with the sperm that fertilizes the egg, instead of your body bringing forth a child that is going to have problems, your body will abort.
Yeah.
So when I actually got my divorce, my ex-husband had actually told people that I could not have children, and that was the reason that we got divorced. So whenever the twins were born, people started hitting me up in my inbox asking me, where did I adopt my children from? What you mean adoption? You talking about those 25 hours of labor? That wasn't adoption. You talking about that pushing? That wasn't no adoption. Twins without medication? That wasn't no adoption. But you see, we have this tendency to believe that just because a woman's body chooses that that child is not for her, or the child with that man, particularly him, ain't for you, because if you have a baby with him, you're going to go to prison. Because I'm not going to lie. I pray, y'all, and I pray hard. God, if I'm going to have to kill him, don't let me have no baby with him. If I'm going to have to kill him, if I'm going to have to go to prison and not going to be able to raise my kids, don't let me have no baby with this fool. So the fact is, because I was not sure that it wasn't me, my mother had agreed to carry for me because I really thought that there may have been something wrong.
Oh, wow.
Me. Then you get married and you happy, and you can't be married a whole 6 weeks before you knocked up. And I literally, because of the losses of the previous pregnancies, when I found out I was pregnant, I cried. And it was not a happy cry. Because my thought process was, if you can't carry one, how are you going to be able to carry 2? because it was on my 32nd birthday, the day that I had a sonogram and found out at being 6 weeks pregnant that it was a baby A and a baby B. That wasn't a happy day for me. I cried, and I cried an ugly cry. And my family could not tell anybody until we were actually in the middle of the second trimester. I had the babies early. They were due on New Year's Day. I went into labor and had them on Thanksgiving Day. They were very early.
Yeah, that's very early. Yeah.
Because of all of the problems that I had had in the previous pregnancies, I went into labor at 5 months. They had to take me into a complete surgery to sew me together so I did not have them babies early.
That happened to my cousin.
I had the same cervical issues as you, Simone. I had gone through, I had come through, and it was just like, the doctor called me one morning. I won't forget it. My phone rung, 6:30 something in the morning. And I answered the phone and he said, "Are you up and moving yet?" And I said, "No, sir." He said, "Okay, I need for you to get up, brush your teeth, and have your husband bring you to the hospital. We need to do surgery on you."
Mm-hmm.
Because my cervix, from having cervical issues, was so short that I was in labor and I didn't even know it.
Yep, my niece, her mom almost had her at 5 months, and they had to go in and stitch her cervix, and she was on bed rest for the remainder of pregnancy.
That happened to my cousin. Yep, and they had to wait. The doctor told her, "You like same thing with you, Miss Crystal." She'd had 5 or 6 miscarriages, and the doctor said, "The next time you get pregnant, I need you to be ready to be off work that day. The day we find out is the day I'm putting you on bed rest." And she still had to have surgery so that her body will hold the baby. And that's the only child she has. And we call him her little miracle baby. It's the only child she has.
They removed the stitching from my cervix. Fortunately, but also unfortunately, they did not remove it completely. So when I went into labor, I was in labor for several hours before they checked and realized that the cerclage was still in place. That's that plastic that they use to sew your cervix. And they were like, "Oh my God, your cervix could have ripped like in half while you're in labor." And so as soon as they released it, I was in labor. Contractions coming. It's like, okay, but y'all know I got a 30, what, how 23-year-old in there? 13-year-old, 7-year-old twins. They all mad. They all eat. They all get on my nerves. They act like me, and I wish you would tell them otherwise.
And you know what else, Crystal? What you saying too, that it was like what you were saying, like your ex-husband, it was something wrong with the sperm. I used to hear, this is when I was dating, like I said, I was dating this guy and we wanted to have a baby, but I used to hear stories from old people that sometimes, I know it's going to sound a little bit too much, but sometimes a woman's bodily liquids are not necessarily compatible with her partner. Because I've heard of people being with somebody. I'm gonna give you an example. My church member, this girl is 47 years old. She just turned 47 and she has a 2-year-old. She dated this guy for 13 years and never got pregnant. But as soon as she got with the guy that she's with now, she said she had never been pregnant, had never had any miscarriages, had never had anything. So when she got pregnant at the age of 47, you know, people like to crack jokes like, "Oh Lord, you finna be a grandma." You know, most of my friends, they children are in their 20s, you know, because they had kids when they was in their 20s. So it's like me, I'm starting all over. But that's another thing that irritates me is stop putting these stipulations on a woman's age. Like really be said, stop putting stipulations on a woman's ovaries and reproductive system in general. And I hope more than anything, if anybody can take something out that conversation, just please let that never be an attack mechanism to come for a woman's quote unquote eggs or ovaries or her ability or lack thereof to have children. It's very sensitive. And you would be surprised how many women are ashamed to admit that they also are having reproductive issues?
Right.
They may never say it because they use it as an attack, but I guarantee you.
Something else that we don't
I'm glad
realize
you said that, Jessica,
is that
because I want to say that.
Most of the statistics that have been put into place about the age that we should have children is so many decades old. It has nothing to do with modern medicine. And at the end of the day, if you are physically healthy, you are perfectly fine to have kids. Now, the problem that we have is that you got so many younger people having children that they can't take care of. You are better off. You better off waiting until you are in your mid-30s, maybe even your early 40s. Now, the only thing that you get a heightened chance of once you get into your mid-30s, early 40s, is it increases a woman's chance of having multiples because her body starts releasing more eggs at a time. So it increases your chance of having for what is it?
You have twins.
Twins, thank you, baby.
So
you increase your chance.
Yeah.
As a woman gets closer, the number of eggs she has, the closer she gets to depleting, when you have a cycle, you start releasing more than one egg at a time. So you will realize that more times than not, when you have women that have multiples, they're older women. They're more times than not, they're not young.
Crystal, can I say something real quick? And then I'm going to go ahead. Linda, you made a comment, and this is why I don't like to share my story, because I feel like it's attack mode. You said to me, sometimes we have to make hard decisions. Why risk a pregnancy if you already have cancer? I didn't know my cancer had came back. It was in remission. So that's why when a lot of women don't like to share their stories, because you feel like you're being attacked. And that's one reason why I don't like talking about the subject. If I knew that I had cancer and it came back, I never would have had another child. So I just wanted to answer your question for you.
Okay, hold on. We're going to come back to you, Chelsea, in just a minute. Hold on 1 minute, y'all. Ladies, bear with me a minute. Hold on. Okay, look, I don't ask a lot, but this is a very sensitive subject to a lot of women. And I asked y'all to leave your judgments at the door, okay? I don't want to single out no one person, but I want it to be understood that I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. Because if you become insensitive in this chat today, I will block your ass in the name of the Lord, and you will not come back to my channel again. Don't ask these women why they made the decisions that they made. They explaining it to you as much as they want to share with you. So if you don't have something positive to say, zip it today. This is the instance where a woman's silence, her strength can lie in her silence. If you can't help, go silent. Thank you. Carry on. See, I don't like having these type of discussions because you always got somebody that's going to say something out the way. We're not here. I didn't ask none of these ladies to get on this panel to tell their stories to be judged by anybody. Would they deal with that enough in everyday life? And although you may feel like that what you said wasn't harmful, apparently it was. That's why it's best to think before you speak or not say nothing at all.
Now,
Chelsea,
I saw
you had a question for the panel.
Well, I saw when somebody was speaking on what Crystal just spoke on in reference to older women. I mean, obviously, there is an increase of things. I know when my sister, she got pregnant. My sister was a late pregnancy when she was in her late 30s, and I know that there were immediate concerns. There are tests that they take. There are certain precautions that they take as women get older. But I think the point that was being made is that I think a lot of times society writes women off when they get to a certain age as not being able to conceive and carry a healthy child. And I think the point that was being made is that women can still conceive and carry children later on in life, especially with advances in modern technology. Yes, there are tests that they take. I know my sister had to take a certain number of tests and a series of different things that they had to check on. But at the end of the day, I think the point that's being made is, again, don't write women off who are later in life and decide to have children, or not just decide to have children, are able to, like in Crystal's case, she had a different partner. And so her results were different as far as, conceiving a child. So again, I don't think that people are trying to say, I think we understand that there are increased concerns as a woman gets older. But like you said, just like a lot of things are outdated when it comes to what women can and can't do at certain ages. I think that's the point that was being made. And I don't want to speak for you, Crystal, but I feel like that's how I took what you were saying.
Yeah, so more times than not, whenever you hear about people, hold on for a second. Y'all, my husband is sitting in front of me eating ice cream and he is tearing up that bowl.
Good.
So there are tests. Again, remember that we have a whole lot of new technology that we did not previously have. We have a lot of, literally, if they run tests early in the pregnancy, as they normally do, once you get a certain age, especially if you've never had any children, when they run those tests, they can tell you early enough in the pregnancy if there is going to be something majorly wrong with this baby.
Right.
And if it is going to be something wrong, then you actually get to make a decision. Do you want? Go ahead, Justin.
I was going to say that's and like, see, even with really B, I appreciate her saying that she was told one thing at a very young age, and what people don't realize is that she's had several years to condition her mind to wrap herself around that. And as a result, just like me being single without a man, if I'm single long enough for 10 years, I have conditioned my mind around the fact that I am single. So I'm not really setting myself up for heartbreak. Same thing. When I knew that I was going to have issues with bearing children, I conditioned my mind and prepared my mind to realize that, and just said, whatever will be, will be. So it's like really be said, it's not always a medical issue or a bad thing. Sometimes people just want to live. And if y'all notice, nowadays, what I've noticed, especially some of these celebrities, baby women are waiting until they get to their 30s and 40s to have children, because they want to make sure that their careers are established before they start families. Whereas back in the day, with my people, my relatives and friends, it was okay to have your children, 19, 20, 21, so forth and so on. And by the time you get to your 30s and 40s, you're ready to, just live your life because your kid's grown. But now, baby, these people these days, these women, honey, I see them up in their 40s. I'm telling you, look at Kenya Moore.
Look at Janet Jackson. Look at Halle Berry. Like,
exactly.
And then you have to figure out what's important to you, because I do have a lot of health conditions. And the doctor told my husband, listen, when she have these two right here, we need to fix this problem, because either because we wanted 5. We wanted 5 together. And the doctor said, oh, y'all can have 5, but she's not going to be here to help you raise them. And when the doctor told my husband that I wasn't going to be here, my husband was like, okay, we can fix that problem right now. We ain't got to have no more. We got boy and girl. We good. If we want some more, we can do the adoption and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, you've got to decide what's best for you. When you have a child, you've got to want to be here to actually raise them. And so, yeah, that becomes you have to start asking some hard questions, some really hard questions. Just how important is it to you to now live?
And I want to acknowledge Chelsea Jr. in the chat. You're making some very valid points. And I think that might be a topic that we can come back to if Miss Nyca decides to do this again. Her question or her testimony is in reference to being a young mother and being judged as a young mother and having to make different decisions, things that she wanted to do in her life, but having to change certain decisions and timelines because she was a young mother, and basically being held to a standard that men are held to, if they're young parents. So I think that's a good conversation, but I know we're hitting our hour and a half mark. Y'all know how Lady Nyca is. So I think that's a good conversation that we can, flesh out if Lady Nyca decides to do this panel again, because I do think that's valid. And I think that's another valid conversation that we can have as women in reference to, once again, how do we treat women when we see a young mother? Do we automatically judge them? Do we make assumptions and decisions, you know what I'm saying, about why they're walking around with a child or two children? Do we know their story? So I think that's a valid conversation.
We will definitely we'll return to this topic again. I'm gonna have this panel again. First of all, I want to say to you, Simone, I apologize. To hear that in your voice just now, that broke me a little bit. That hurt my heart, because never have I ever wanted to have a panel discussion where somebody walked away from this panel feeling unappreciated. And although Miss Linda has been, she's been riding with me a minute, that right there, I don't expect that of a true love thing. So you are now blockity block. Don't send me nothing. I don't want no emails or nothing, because I made it perfectly clear that we were going to have a candid discussion. Okay? Women are not coming on here to tell their stories to have somebody disrespect them. What woman would knowingly give their child cancer? That was insensitive, and your ass out of here. Okay? Don't email me. Don't say shit to me, especially not tonight. Matter of fact, don't say nothing to me for a good little minute, because now I'm fucking mad and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to thank all the ladies for coming. I thank you all for coming into this live tonight. I'm going to give everybody a chance to say their final goodbyes. Ladies, once we end the live, please do not leave the panel. We're going backstage together. Again, my humblest apologies to you, Simone, for how you were made to feel. I don't know that story. That's why I didn't talk on it, because I don't have anything to add to that part of it. I haven't had those issues. Nobody's judged me in that kind of manner. So I can only imagine what that feels like. So again, I apologize to you for that. And in show you that I'm so sorry about that girl. She gone. She is gone. She is gone. She's not coming back over here again, because one thing I don't take is disrespect. And you were disrespected. I saw it for myself. She out. I'll let the ladies say if they final words, and then we're gonna end this thing.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Lady Nyca, for opening up your platform. Like I said, these are good conversations, good topics, and I do want to I guess I just want to piggyback on that. Simone, I'm sorry as well. I don't think people understand how hard it is to share your story, and to even question, to even question that somebody as a mother would make a decision that would detriment their child. I don't, so I'm sorry you felt that way as well. It's yeah, but I thank you for opening up your platform, and everybody that shared their story. I was reading the chat, people were sharing their story in the chat. Miss Crystal, Miss Jessica, Miss Simone sharing your story. I think we move forward by educating, and I think sometimes if we can hear it from our peers, not always a documentary or whatever, I think hearing it from each other, tell our stories, people that you see every day in the chat, and understand just the day to day, that this is just everybody's story, But thank you.
Well, I want to tell Miss Nyca and the entire panel, thank you so much. I'm glad that we did have this conversation, because not only was I able to provide a little piece of me and some information, I was also able to take in a lot of resourceful information. I'm gonna be honest with you, this is true women's empowerment, to the point where we all have something in common, and that's the fact that we are women. And I do know that Simone expressed that she had a very hard conversation with her sister. So I know that she had already been feeling like that. And I hope and pray that nobody ever comes at anyone's reproductive system or their children. Otherwise, you are bound to get sacked out by me. But with that being said, Simone, you know we love you down, girl. And I'm so grateful that all of y'all shared your stories. Everybody in the chat, you know, same thing. So
thank you again, Lady Nyca, for having us on. We appreciate you. We love you for allowing us to give some of ourselves so that not only we can help ourselves because this is a part of our healing, but also allow us to help others. Simone, you know that we love you. We are here for you. We got your back and your front. Again, Lady Nyca, thank you. It was really, really cool hanging out with you, really be. Miss Jessica, I don't know you, but it is good to meet you, and I hope to see you again in these YouTube streets.
Okay, everybody spoke. Simone, do you want to say anything? If you don't want to say nothing, you don't got to.
Her line dropped. She's not on.
Oh, yes, she is. My sister, a diva, baby. You want to say
For
something?
some reason, Nyca, I can't hear you. Can anyone else in the chat hear me?
They
Yeah,
can
we
hear
I can
you.
hear you.
You can hear me, Nyca? I can't hear Nyca. First and
Yeah, I
foremost,
hear
I'd
you.
like to thank all the ladies on the chat for sharing their experience today, and thank you for the people in the audience who respected and sympathized. I told my story because I want people to understand. As Black women, a lot of times we are overlooked when we have medical issues and health issues. Why I told my story was because I had been to my doctor several times, tested several times, and it came back that my cancer was in remission, and I was told it was okay to have a baby. But then when I went to another doctor, it was not that case. I was at stage 3. So I knowing and really would not have given my baby anything. Had my doctor been on it sooner and had my doctor delivered cesarean, I wouldn't be going through some of the things I'm going through. But at the same time, I share my story because there may be someone out there who may have experienced the same thing I've experienced. And if they needed any questions or help or how they should feel, I was going to be the person you can talk to and offer hand. I'm sorry, my train of thought is gone right now. I felt like what she said to me just really, really pissed me off. And then her response, when I told her about it, her response back. At this point, I just want to thank everybody, and I hope everyone have a great weekend. And that's all I really want to say.
Okay, everybody had a chance to say something. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit y'all down for a minute and I'm gonna end it. And then don't nobody hang up, please. Don't hang up. It's always somebody trying to bring down the mood and the spirit of the moment. You know, we just gotta learn how to just not let people get to you. Even though I did not like what happened to my friend just now for coming on sharing her story, it has inspired me to have this conversation yet again. We will be back 1 week from today down here again, sharing a piece of us the best way we know how. Because I want to open up this platform, if not every day, at least one day dedicated to talking to my women, totally focusing on the woman because it's a lot to us and it's a lot we go through. And I think that by these chats, people can kind of relate to one another. And maybe even like Simone said, if you find that it's something that one of us is saying, I'm pretty sure nobody minds you reaching out and you can talk to us individually through our emails or whatnot. I'm sorry to everybody who had to catch that side of me. I was trying to put that in a bag. Hey, Ded's nephew, what's going on? I tried to put that in the back of my mind. You know, I tried to come in here and just be cool. But when I heard the upset in her voice, that triggered me. So before I say something, I don't, and mess my live all the way up. I thank each and every one of y'all for coming. Please subscribe to the channel. Cut on your notifications, honey, so that each and every time I drop a pre-recorded video or go live, you guys are going to know, especially for this panel. I'm going to try to bring all these ladies back again 1 week from today, so that we can have part 2. At that time, Miss Chelsea, we will be addressing your questions. I did screenshot it, so I do know what you asked. Anybody that got any questions or topics that you want to discuss or see discussed on the panel, we ain't got no name, but look like we just made a panel right now, and I'm gonna try to pull them in. If no more than once a month, we're gonna do this. But I want to return for part 2 of this 1 week from today. And I thank y'all again for coming. Y'all have a great remainder to your night. We plan on trying to do the same. Be blessed, y'all. I'm out.
You still live, Lady Nyca?
I know it. I need to hit the damn button.
Oh,